Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of A Child's Life. If I say the word Irma, I think everyone in Turks and Caicos knows that what I will be talking about today. As we enter the hurricane season, we're going to devote the next two episodes to talking about hurricane preparedness as it relates to your children. June too soon, July stand by, August look out you must, September remember, October all over. This jingle reminds us that the hurricane season is here. Although we all hope for a very calm and uneventful hurricane season, it is important to be prepared. Being prepared not only means getting your supplies at your house in order, but also taking the time to speak to your children about the season. This week, I begin the first part in a two-part series of preparing for the hurricane season, and we're going to look at what to do before a hurricane. The easiest way to explain it to young children is that a hurricane is a very serious storm. They are tropical storms that form over bodies of water. Hurricanes gather heat and energy through evaporation and convection of warm ocean waters. Evaporation from the seawater, which happens when it's warm, increases the power of hurricanes. The middle of the hurricane is called the eye, and hurricanes have winds that are at least 74 miles per hour. You can also explain to them that an island is under hurricane watch, which is the cue to prepare, if there is a threat of hurricane conditions within the next 48 hours or 2 days. A hurricane warning is issued if the conditions are expected in less than 36 hours. After explaining how hurricanes are formed, it's worthwhile asking your children if they know or, in some cases, remember what type of weather we have with a hurricane. You're likely to hear things like strong winds and floods and rain, etc. They are likely to remember strong winds and rains. You can explain to them that depending on how strong the hurricane is, which is determined by the speed and what gives them their category allocation from category 1 to 5, different types of damages can occur. Sometimes there will just be a little flooding or some tree branches may fall down, and other times it might be more serious. You may not want to get too deep into how serious, as in preparing for a hurricane, you're not trying to scare your child, but just let them know a little bit of what to expect and why we need to prepare. Okay, so now that we've discussed what a hurricane is, it's best for us to look at things to do before, during, and after a hurricane. So before a hurricane, once you've discussed what a hurricane is, it's important to develop a family emergency plan. Having your children and teens involved in this is a really great idea. Not only will they be aware of what is happening and the fact that it is a good example when they're older, they do the same. But it will also likely alleviate some fears as they will know that their family has taken all the necessary precautions. Discuss issues such as where to go in a hurricane. Is your home safe during a hurricane? If not, where will you be going? Will a shelter be the most convenient and appropriate place for your family? What plan will be needed if you need to evacuate? Securing your property. Discuss the importance of securing property for both you and those around you. How your hurricane shutters will be closed or put up. Many of us have items around our yards that can become a problem with high winds. Discuss how this will be removed and where they will go. This will be a great time to highlight to your children what their responsibilities may be. It may include bringing in their bikes and toys, bringing them inside the house, as a bike in the yard can be a hazardous missile with high winds. Discuss supplies. Discuss the type of supplies that are important to keep on hand during hurricane season. Having this list prepared and items stocked in the home can reduce panic if a warning is called. If your children understand why this special grocery supply exists, they're less likely to dip into it when you're at work. Creating hurricane preparedness kits are great things to do at the beginning of the season. You'll want to include items such as candles, matches, flashlights, batteries, non-perishable foods and water, baby formula, wet wipes, personal hygiene products, etc. There will be other items that will need to be added later, such as medication. It's a wise idea to store items in a waterproof container, such as a plastic storage bin. This will be one less thing you will need to worry about if there is a hurricane warning in effect. You'll want to remind your little ones that the supplies are put aside at the beginning of the season and they're not to be touched before you say it's okay. The last thing you want is to double check your kit during a hurricane warning to find out that little hands have been helping themselves to Vienna sausages and crackers and even candies that you may have put there for a diabetic family member. Have a first aid kit on hand. This is important to include in your kit. Be sure that your first aid kit is stocked with all the necessary supplies such as Band-Aids, slings, rubbing alcohol, and other things that are good to have on hand in general, and not just these. They're good to have, not only during the hurricane season. You will also want to make sure that you have a battery-operated radio on hand. If you take the time to get these things during the month of June, you will be a lot more relaxed if the Turks and Caicos Islands is under a hurricane threat. If we come under hurricane watch, you will know exactly where to start. If the TCI is under threat, you will want to add certain things to your kit, such as important documents stored in Ziploc bags. Important documents may include a list of important phone numbers, passports, residence permits, NHIP cards, credit cards, emergency cash, etc. Okay? You want to know that you have certain things available immediately during or right after a storm. You will also want to fill up your car with gas and turn your refrigerator and freezer to the coldest setting. It's a good idea to explain to your children why you are doing this, as this will help to keep them calm. You will also want to make sure that you let them know the importance of not opening the fridge and freezer too often, as you'll want to be keeping it as cool as possible so that if the power is out for an extended period of time, you will still have access to cold items when you need them, and you will preserve your frozen goods for as long as possible. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of A Child's Life. Please join us next Wednesday for our next episode, where we will continue discussing hurricane preparedness and how to prepare your children. If you'd like to get in contact with me, Yolande Robinson, please email me at connect@yolanderobinson.com.